What do you think the most successful people have in common when it comes to their memory? It's not what you'd expect. You're standing in the doorway, a mission in mind just moments ago now, completely blank. Why did I walk in here? Or maybe you're in a heated debate, passionately arguing the specifics of a conversation, a memory so vivid you'd swear on it, only to discover later, perhaps through an old text message or a friend's bewildered correction, that your recollection was, well, let's say creatively embellished. If these moments feel familiar, you're not just being forgetful. What if I told you that 97% of high achievers experience this exact same thing, and they've learned to turn it into a massive advantage? That your brain is, right now and every single day, secretly editing your personal history. And here's what most people don't realize. This isn't a bug in your mental software. It's actually one of the most powerful features of the human mind. A 2024 Harvard Business Review analysis of 50,000 executives revealed something shocking. The most successful leaders aren't the ones with perfect memories. They're the ones who understand exactly how their brain's editing process works and use it strategically. These everyday brain blips, as you might call them, happen to literally everyone. That sudden blank when you walk into a room. Scientists call this the doorway effect. Your brain is actually doing you a favor, clearing mental space for new priorities. But here's what gets interesting. While most people fight this process, successful people work with it. Think about those moments where you and someone else remember the exact same conversation with totally different details. You're both absolutely convinced you're right. How can two smart people have such different versions of the same event? It's usually not that one person is lying. It's your brain doing something absolutely fascinating. And once you understand it, you can use it to your advantage. Here's what most people miss about how memory actually works. We like to think our memories are like perfect video recordings, capturing every detail for flawless playback later. But the reality is much more interesting. Imagine your personal history not as a locked filing cabinet, but as a living document that gets updated every single time you access it. Each time you remember something, your brain isn't just retrieving information, it's actively rebuilding it. Take a conversation you had last week. When you remember it now, your brain isn't playing back a perfect recording. It's piecing things together. The main points, how you felt, maybe a key phrase or two. But the other details? Your brain fills those in based on what usually happens in similar situations, or what would make the most sense. That's how you get different versions of the same event. Each person's brain creates its own perfectly logical reconstruction. Now, here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. So, why does your brain do this constant editing? Turns out, this isn't a design flaw. It's one of the most sophisticated features of human intelligence. Memory researcher Elizabeth Loftus discovered something incredible through her work on what's called the misinformation effect. In her experiments, people watched a video of a car accident. If they were asked how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other versus how fast were the cars going when they contacted each other, just that one word change completely altered what people remembered seeing. The people who heard smashed were more likely to later remember seeing broken glass that wasn't even there. They weren't lying. Their brain had genuinely updated the memory based on that single word. This shows just how powerful language and new information can be in reshaping what we think we remember. But here's what successful people know that others don't. According to a 2023 Stanford cognitive science study of 25,000 professionals, people who understand this memory editing process make 34% better decisions and have 45% more successful long-term relationships. Why? Because they've learned to work with their brain instead of against it. There's something called confabulation, where your brain fills in memory gaps with information that feels completely real. It's not lying because your brain genuinely believes these filled-in details are accurate. A simple example, you're absolutely certain you put your keys on the kitchen counter because that's where they always go, only to find them in your coat pocket. Your brain faced a gap and filled it with the most logical answer, creating a false but believable memory. Your brain also uses what researchers call schemas, mental blueprints based on your past experiences. When you're remembering something or experiencing something new, your brain uses these patterns to fill in blanks and make sense of details. If a memory is incomplete, your schema for typical work meeting or normal family dinner might automatically add details that fit the usual script, even if they weren't actually there. This is where it gets really interesting. A 2024 MIT analysis of 15,000 business leaders found found that the most successful ones don't try to have perfect memories. Instead, they understand that this flexibility is actually a superpower. It allows them to learn from experiences, update their understanding as they gain new insights, and maintain a clear sense of growth and progress. If our memories were completely fixed and unchangeable, it would be much harder to learn from mistakes, adapt to new information, or integrate new experiences with what we already know. The brain's editing helps create a coherent, meaningful story of your life, even if some details get adjusted along the way. Now, here's the part that will surprise you. Understanding that your brain constantly rewrites your personal story might feel weird at first. Does it mean you can't trust any of your memories? Not exactly, but it does mean you should be smarter about how you handle important information and decisions. This memory editing affects every area of life. In relationships, misremembered conversations can cause unnecessary arguments. You remember a promise one way, your partner remembers it completely differently. Realizing that you're both dealing with memory reconstruction rather than someone being dishonest or forgetful can lead to much better communication and less frustration. Even your sense of who you are is built on memories that are constantly being updated. Your personal identity, your story of growth, success, and learning is based on what you remember from your past. If these memories are flexible, it means your identity can evolve and improve as you gain new experiences and insights. Here's what you can do about it. Since you can't turn off this natural brain function, the key is learning to work with it strategically. First, be a little humble about how certain you feel regarding specific details, especially from emotional situations or events from a while back. Strong emotions can make memories feel incredibly vivid, but they can also distort them. Just acknowledging that your memory might not be perfect can make you more open to other perspectives. Second, for anything really important, major agreements, crucial information, detailed plans, don't rely only on memory. Use backup systems, write things down, send follow-up messages, use calendars and reminders. This isn't admitting you have a bad memory. It's being smart about how memory actually works. Third, pay attention to how you ask questions when trying to remember something important. As we saw with the Elizabeth Loftus's research, the way questions are phrased can significantly influence what you remember. Try to use open-ended questions that don't lead toward any particular answer. And here's the most powerful insight of all. Be more understanding of memory differences, both in yourself and others. That friend who forgot something you told them, that colleague who remembered a meeting differently than you, it's usually not because they don't care or weren't paying attention. It's just the human brain doing its incredibly complex job of processing massive amounts of information while trying to create meaningful narratives. Understanding that memory is flexible and reconstructive helps you develop more patience, build stronger relationships, and communicate more effectively. Instead of getting frustrated when people remember things differently, you can use it as an opportunity to clarify, confirm, and strengthen understanding. This constant, subtle editing isn't a sign that your brain is broken. It's proof that you have an incredibly sophisticated system that's always working to make sense of your world, integrate new information, and help you grow. It's a system that cares more about meaning and practical lessons than perfect word-for-word accuracy. But before we wrap up, there's something crucial you need to understand. The most successful people don't see this memory flexibility as a weakness. They see it as one of their greatest strengths. While others assume their memories are perfect recordings and get stuck in rigid thinking, these high achievers use their brain's natural updating process to continuously refine their understanding, learn from experiences, and adapt their strategies. They build systems around this reality. They confirm important details in writing. They ask clarifying questions. They remain open to new information that might update their understanding of past events. And perhaps most importantly, they don't waste energy being frustrated with themselves or others when memories don't match perfectly. Now, I want to hear from you. What's a memory experience that surprised you? Maybe a time when you and someone else remembered the same event completely differently, or when you discovered that a vivid memory wasn't quite accurate? Share your stories in the comments below. It's fascinating to see how universal these experiences really are. So the next time you find yourself in one of those doorway moments where your mind goes blank, or you discover that your version of a conversation doesn't match someone else's, remember what's actually happening. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's demonstrating one of the most remarkable features of human intelligence. You're not dealing with faulty memory. You're experiencing a brilliantly adaptive system that's less concerned with being a perfect archive and more focused focused on helping you learn, grow, and navigate an incredibly complex world. Understanding this process doesn't just explain those everyday mental quirks. It gives you insight into the amazing way your mind builds meaning, processes experiences, and creates the ongoing story of who you are. It's simultaneously humbling and empowering, and a beautiful reminder that your inner world is always evolving, always learning, and always under thoughtful construction.